It is Free Talk Live. Welcome to the live Saturday edition of the show. And here in the studio with you tonight, you've got Ian.
And the Reverend Captain Kickass is here.
Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Ian and the Captain in the studio here tonight. You can take control of the airwaves. That's what we do here. Starting out tonight, though, whenever the hosts come in with the same story separately, we don't consult with each other before, like 5 minutes before the show. What are we going to talk about? We both had the same story here tonight. Actually, I've had it on my show prep for a couple of days. From the Associated Press is the one I've got. Man jailed for life over a $20 marijuana sale. He's been let out.
Yeah, finally, right?
After how many years?
Well, and so, over the course of however many shows I've done here now on Free Talk Live, there seems to be a theme that keeps recurring, and that's people who sort of defend the police. Right? I don't understand why they have such a bad reputation, or, it's only a few rotten apples and that kind of a thing. And I keep repeating myself, if police really wanted to improve their reputation, they would all get together and stop enforcing victimless crimes. The number one victimless crime that people are being prosecuted for in the United States of America anyway is drugs, right? Specifically marijuana, nonviolent offenses for drugs. And they still outpace the number of violent crimes as far as who's being arrested and for what. So for whatever reason, the police are still, grabbing these low-hanging fruit, if you will, and prosecuting them far more than they're prosecuting actual violent crime. So, So when these people cry about, I know a police officer and he's so nice, you're not getting it. You're not understanding. It's the police itself. And when you become a part of that organization, you are bound to enforce rules that go against morality.
Yeah, just as an aside before we get into the story, since you brought up this aspect of the police, I've been going to some of these protests recently out in front of the governor's house. You went to at least one of them, if I recall correctly. And there's been sort of this contingent of that particular crowd, which tends to lean towards the right as far as their political viewpoints. That is exactly what you're talking about. The very people who are saying, actually, this happened at the last one. I was speaking... Actually, I got up to speak after. I wasn't going to talk until a guy got up and started basically verbally filleting the police on the microphone, talking about how he supports his officers 100% and blah, 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 blah. Just went on and on and on. And of course, there was a large contingent of police there at this particular protest, more than there had ever been. This particular man who was speaking had shut his business down. We actually covered it here on Free Talk Live a few months ago. He closed his business down sort of preemptively.
Was this the ice cream guy?
Yeah, it was an ice cream / restaurant kind of place.
Right. Desserts or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, he closed it down preemptively and put a note up on the door saying, whatever happened to live free or die, which he got some news for that, and good for him. But unfortunately, he's also somebody who completely worships the police, even though it would be the police who would have come in and shut him down and threatened him with violence had he continued to actually act like a free person and operate his business. But so many people are so inside this belief structure of the state is this somehow this good thing that it can be rescued if we just put the right people in charge, and they actually stopped me at one point while I was speaking. Somebody came up and said, because I started to criticize the police after I spoke after he did and sort of responded to what he was saying. And somebody came up and sort of whispered in my ear that, the reason why there's so many cops here is because Sununu, that's the governor here in New Hampshire, has received a death threat. Because I was commenting on the number of the police that were present for what was ultimately a peaceful protest, and that was, of course, the claim. And this person was going around and saying this to multiple people, and there was another lady who was going around saying that she was going to this new church, and there's a state police officer who's going to this church, and she had a chance to talk to him, and he says the state police agree with them. And the police agree with us, she says. She was going around telling this to more than one person. I'm like, well, if they actually agree with us,
they should be on the other side.
Then, why don't they at the very least take the mask off?
Yes, take the mask off. Join the protesters in the protest. Because that's not what they're doing. Also, it seems to me that nobody has pointed out to them that these mandates that these governors across the United States, not just Sununu, are laying down, are enforced by the police and are thus a death threat, because if you disobey them, they purport the authority to shoot you and kill you.
Yeah. Well, they actually threatened everybody at that particular event, which there's not a video yet, but I've been so busy, I actually ended up, I'm going to hire Vincent to put the video together because I just don't have the time for it.
Right.
But I got footage of it. Andy was there as well, our Thursday night co-host. We got 2 cameras worth of footage of these cops literally threatening an entire peaceful crowd, not a large crowd, in fact, our smallest one yet, which is, I think, why they did what they did, because the cops had at least 9 cruisers out there, which means there was more than 9 cops present, because there was some inside his house, there was some in the driveway.
Well, and they don't travel solo, generally speaking. If there's one, there's at least 2 more somewhere.
Right, but remember the week you were there, there were only like 3 unmarked cars that were parked up in the parking lot.
And one state trooper that showed up and like drove away.
Yeah. Here there were, like I said, 9 vehicles, almost all of them marked state trooper cruisers, and at least a dozen cops that were standing around. In probably at least half of them were standing right up at the front of the driveway. And these goons came out and they threatened people. They threatened our co-host Nobody for speaking on a amplifier PA system.
Yeah.
And told him he would be arrested for disorderly conduct if he continued, because somebody who is a neighbor complained about it. That's what they claimed. And the disorderly conduct statute does have this sort of catch-all thing. If somebody is offended by a loud noise, they can call, and then the police warn you.
Right,
if you keep the loud noise going, it's then quote-unquote disorderly conduct, which is a misdemeanor charge, so up to a year in jail for that. And so after that, more people spoke, because the idea was, well, they'd only threaten Nobody with that arrest, so they have to threaten each individual if they're being too loud or whatever. So other people spoke, and then afterwards there was a chant, which I'm not a huge fan of, but people do that stuff at protests.
Right.
There was only one chant, and it was like, "Live free or die, we will not comply." Not the worst of chants.
Okay, I can get down with that one.
And then and it was only like 20 people at this protest, so not a loud chant by any means. And after the chant sort of ended, this phalanx of cops, all of them that were standing around, come up and sort of stand in a line, trying to intimidate and successfully intimidating the crowd, saying, "You're all being noticed for disorderly conduct. If you continue to chant, you will be arrested." And, nobody wanted to go to jail that day.
Right.
So the cops successfully took away a crowd of protesters' freedom of speech.
I want to point out to our listeners, too, that it's important to realize the privilege being exercised by the governor in this particular instance. It's not a privilege that the rest of us have. When the governor threatens us in some way, shape, or form with some new mandate that shuts down your business or otherwise makes you unemployed or otherwise takes some money out of your pocket, whatever it is, we don't have an armed force that we can call up and go, "Hey, the governor has threatened me. Come and protect me."
Nope.
Now, everybody thinks that that's the police, but try it. Try calling the police because the governor threw down a mandate that closed your business. Try calling them and see what they do about it.
They won't do anything.
They're going to do 2 things, Jack, and, well, nothing.
Exactly. So it's, and then right after the cops threatened everybody, the same guy that was filleting them, the business owner, he and a couple of the other people, the 2 other people I was telling you about that were just going around talking about how the cops are on our side, they all went over and talked to the police for what was at least 10, 15 minutes. I don't know what the conversation was. I wasn't interested in coming over there with my camera. I was busy doing other things. But, they just went over there and it didn't matter to them. Like, the fact that they were just threatened by these people didn't faze them one bit about their belief that, secretly the police are actually on our side.
Worshiping your captors.
Yeah. And they're not.
It's what is Stockholm syndrome, right?
Yeah. They're not on your side. And I don't know how much abuse it's going to take these people to experience before they figure it out, that these cops will just follow orders. They will do what they're told until, some of them may have a line that they will decide not to anymore, but they haven't reached it yet.
Not yet.
More coming up here, 855, 450 free. So we'll talk about a guy getting released from prison over $20 worth of pot. It's Free Talk Live.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin, and all right. I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin, he doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Homeland Security teaching the Boy Scouts of America to do black ops missions and destroy
Hold on a second.
veterans returning.
Did you just say that they are training the Boy Scouts to do black op missions?
Of course they are. There's funding from the Department of Homeland Security. There's grants and
Come on.
Wait, what kind of black ops are we talking about here? Just like spying on the neighbors, seeing if they're putting their recycling in the wrong bin, or what?
It goes deeper than that. To teach the 12 and 13, 14-year-olds how to do paintball stuff, and the target is supposedly disgruntled veterans.
What?
They're preparing them to take on returning veterans that have been labeled disgruntled. That's part of the
They're
indoctrination.
preparing the Boy Scouts to take them on? Like what, in a firefight? To hand-to-hand combat?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live, and it's a live Saturday episode of the show. You can dial in here and join us toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, Ian.
And the captain.
And AnyPay 2.0 is here. Crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you see me on the camera trying to shovel a sandwich into my mouth during the breaks, I paid for this sandwich using AnyPay here in downtown Keene.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was super easy because I use Edge Wallet, which makes it really easy. Handcash also works great. Bitcoin.com's wallet or Dash Wallet, these will all work just fine with AnyPay 2.0. But some wallets, not so much. Sadly, some great wallets, they don't have what it takes to interface with AnyPay 2.0. They need to. They should have it, and that's where you come in to the picture. So if you are a user of Coinomi or Exodus Wallet, RelayX, or Bread Wallet, you ought to reach out to those companies, to those programmers, and let them know you want to make payments easy. You want them to make their wallet compatible with AnyPay 2.0. Because, man, is it embarrassing to go and pay for your meal with crypto and pull out a wallet and then have it not work.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is go to anypayinc.com/upgrade, anypayinc.com/upgrade. You'll find the instructions there as to how to get in touch with these wallet programmers and get them on board with AnyPay 2.0 because it's an awesome technology. And
it's the future. We just live in it.
I love it. anypayinc.com/upgrade.
I bought beer this week at another convenience store
Excellent.
that you're aware of. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, you can do that.
I made a special trip to do it during some off hours.
Right on.
And I was pretty stoked, really. I'm like, wow. It's one thing to buy like a 6-pack of some domestic beer at the campus convenience store or whatever, that kind of thing. They don't really carry like the craft
special
brews.
stuff.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing to buy something good, a nice brown that's like 7.2%,
satisfying.
An adult type beer, not a college kid beer. It was pretty cool.
So anypayinc.com/upgrade. So actually it turned out, Captain, that we were comparing our story here tonight, and it turns out we don't have the same story at all.
They are similar stories.
They are about people with essentially life sentences for marijuana being released from prison, but in two different locations.
Indeed.
And two different circumstances. We'll tell you about it coming up here, but first, we'll go to your phone calls and thoughts. Larry is up first here in Indianapolis. Larry, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and the Captain.
Hey, I was out this evening over on Washington and Sherman here in Indianapolis, right?
Okay.
So what's happening is Washington is a busy street going east and west. So what it was is a bunch of police cars. They were mixed jurisdictions from the Indiana State Police, the IMPD, and the Health Department, right?
Okay.
What they've done is got into the flow of traffic, and then they had an operation set up on this vacant parking lot. So what they've done is turn their lights on, stop the flow of traffic, and then diverted the whole line of traffic that they had boxed into this checkpoint.
What were they checkpointing?
A checkpoint, yeah.
No, but what were they checkpointing for? Was it a DUI checkpoint?
COVID. They were checking for COVID, and they were checking to see if your name was on one of their contact lists. Their tracking list.
So wait,
That's what they're doing now. I mean, this is sick, man.
They're setting up checkpoints to check to see.
No, not setting the checkpoints up, but getting into flowing traffic, and they have the situation to turn in set up before they get to the setup. They turn their lights on. They stop one lane of the traffic on a 2-lane highway and diverted that lane that was close to the parking lot. Diverted all that traffic into their checkpoint.
So are they diverting, just to clarify, are they diverting just one lane of traffic, or are they diverting all traffic?
One lane of traffic on a 2-lane.
So if you're on the left lane, you don't have to go in the checkpoint?
No, you have a divided highway, right?
Okay.
Each side 2 lanes. What they do is skim off the outside lane and divert it into the parking lot and let the inside lane go on.
That's weird.
So if you're in the outside lane, you go to the checkpoint, but if you're on the inside lane or the left lane, you keep going. Now, how do you know this is a COVID checkpoint? What gives you that information?
They had. I didn't get to see because they had disbanded and they wouldn't let you come in the area, but they block all the streets off so you can't escape it. If you try to get off before
okay,
you
but
get
how
to
do you know it was
checkpoint,
COVID related? Because what you're talking about sounds a lot like a DUI checkpoint.
It was not a DUI. It was roving. It was the health department had their vehicles there with their signage and stuff on it, and they also had a situation where as soon as they opened it up, I went into some place and they had closed. They had stopped it. By the time I was getting out there, they had stopped the obstruction of the traffic going east on Washington and opened the lanes back up after they had diverted a whole line of cars. I mean, a whole line, maybe about 10 or 15 cars had been diverted.
So you were watching this from where? Were you on foot?
I didn't know what I was seeing at first, right? I thought it was an accident.
Were you on foot or were you in a car?
No, I was in a car. I was at a filling station at the corner of Sherman and Washington, right?
Yep.
And on down where there's just a halfway vacant strip mall. They have a place where they can turn in before they get to Sherman.
Okay.
They were diverting that one lane of traffic. I've seen that clearly. The one lane of traffic was being diverted.
So you saw health department vehicles there, and were there any signs that they put up indicating, like, checkpoint ahead?
Oh, no, nothing. Here's what they're doing, guys. They were rolling. Like, they get into traffic with their setup. They know where they're going to steer the people into, right? Because they already got that set up. So they may start back at State Street. That's about a mile and a half or so they can get into the flow. And then they move up and get themselves in position. And then after they come close to their checkpoint, they turn their lights on. They let the other lane go on by, but the people that are in back of that procession, they turn the one car sideways and steer them into their operation.
Okay.
They were running the car.
See, now when you
right
see
into the
something like
operation.
this, it's always useful to go and grab a video camera and just walk up and find out what's going on.
I didn't have my video phone.
What were you going to ask, Captain?
Yeah, Larry, you said that you didn't know what was happening at first. So how did
I did not know.
How did you figure out what was happening?
When I seen the Indiana State Police, I seen IMPD, and I seen the health department vehicles. They've got a whole new signage and emblems and everything on them now.
It is unusual to have the health department out on the side of the road, so it's definitely very suspicious. Larry, if you do find out any more information about, what this actually was, if there's anybody else there in Indy that can shine some more light on this, it does sound very disturbing.
I mean,
thank you for the call, Larry.
I wouldn't put it past, quote, the authorities, unquote, to begin doing something like this. We've seen an increase in the marriage between the medical state and the police state since COVID. And so it wouldn't surprise me if this were indeed factually true, and what they're doing also very scary.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to have to go through this thing, but if somebody did go through this and you can actually speak to what they were up to,
give us a call.
That's the most interesting part to me, because, what are they doing? They're not stopping both lanes of traffic. Why only one lane of traffic? And with DUI checkpoints, they're supposed to quote unquote randomly select.
Right. So
they're supposed to point at you and wave you through. But they don't always. Sometimes they just stop everybody. So it just depends. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Medical checkpoints now. Apparently that might be a thing. If you want to weigh in, maybe you've seen this in your city too. It's Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Open phones, as always, here. The toll-free number, should you wish to join us, 855-450, free like freedom. It's 855-450-3733 here in the studio with you. It's Ian.
And the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Divi. It is a cryptocurrency that makes it super easy to run a masternode. If you've ever wanted to get into running a masternode, they have made it as simple as you could possibly make it, I think. I've been through the process. Super easy. You do need to acquire Divi in order to become a masternode, however. In order to do that, you can purchase it on multiple exchanges or just get it directly from the Divi team. You can go to diviproject.org, diviproject.org, and connect with them via their Telegram channel, which you can link to right there from their website. After you've looked into Divi, done some research on it, learned about it, diviproject.org.
What does one need for hardware to run a Divi masternode? Just a server?
You don't even need that, because what you do with their process, you can do it yourself if you want to. But their setup that makes it super easy is basically you're authorizing an internet
network
site to spin up one for you.
Oh, okay.
And you just pay the hosting bill.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. It's pretty easy. So check it out, diviproject.org. So let's get into the story here. New Orleans, one of two stories about people being released from prison on what are essentially life sentences for possession or selling marijuana. And New Orleans, of course, Louisiana has been known for a long time as one of the harshest places to get busted for marijuana possession.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, hands down, I was not surprised when I saw that this was coming out of Louisiana, that somebody was in prison for life for selling $20 worth of marijuana. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Louisiana. That's got to be Louisiana. He was arrested and sentenced to life for selling $20 in pot to undercover officers when he was homeless at the time. He has now been freed from prison. WWL-TV reported that Fate Winslow was released from Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola on Wednesday and has headed back home after serving 12 years out of a lifelong sentence. He told WWL-TV, quote, "I was so happy to get out. A life sentence for 2 bags of weed. I never thought something like that could happen."
I know that somewhere out there in radio land or internet land, somebody's going, well, at least they solved his homeless problem.
Yeah, well, it's 3 hots and a cot.
Yeah, it's for $20. Come on. A homeless guy who's just trying to make some cash. Come on.
Yeah, and they actually get into a little bit about what exactly happened here. So he was sentenced under what they call the repeat offender law. His case has garnered attention as Louisiana wrestles with criminal justice issues. By the way, this is ABC News reporting here, and over-incarceration. According to the station, Winslow was approached by undercover officers in Shreveport in 2008, and they asked him where they could get some marijuana. Winslow borrowed a bike, went and found some marijuana, then came back to give it to the officers, who then gave him $5 so he could buy some food, according to his attorneys at the Innocence Project
on top of the
New
20?
Orleans. It's not clear.
Or did they shortchange him, bastards?
Yeah, I don't know. Winslow had already been convicted of 3 previous nonviolent crimes, stretching from when he was a 17-year-old to when he was 36, making him susceptible to the state's repeat offender law. So all nonviolent crimes that this guy committed prior to this.
Yeah, so no victim. Particularly in this instance.
I don't know if that means there's no victim.
Well, particularly
because if you kite a check or something like that, then check fraud, then there could be a victim, but it's not violent.
Right, but in this instance where it's the cops doing a sting operation, right, trying to bust a guy, right? There's no victim there.
No, definitely not in this case.
There's no victim. None.
And, the guy went out of his way. I mean, he borrowed a bicycle, went on a ride, went to his dealer, and, he did a lot of work for this $5 worth of, $20 worth of weed.
Hunger does that to a man, by the way.
Innocence Project New Orleans took up the case, appealing his life sentence on the grounds of ineffective assistance of counsel. He was eventually resentenced to time served. The director of Innocence Project New Orleans, G. Park, said that Winslow received a, quote, obscenely excessive sentence given his life circumstances and crime, and today we are correcting that unconstitutional, inhumane sentence.
Real quick, it's the holiday season, as it were, albeit the most unusual one I've ever been alive for. If you're out there and you are looking for a charity to contribute to this year, may I suggest the Innocence Project?
It's a good one.
I'm always glad to have them on our show, whether it's reporting about them or somebody who's been helped by them or whatever. They do some incredible work for people who should not be in prison. They do an incredible job. They need all of the help they can get to continue their work. So if you're looking for a charity to give to this holiday season, please consider those guys.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Captain. I mean, the Innocence Project people are backed up with cases. I mean, there's no shortage of cases of people who've been wrongfully imprisoned, just completely wrongfully. I mean, this is wrong what they did to them, but it was quote unquote legal.
Right.
Then there's also just people who are just wrongfully convicted. They got the wrong guy and they wanted to put some body in a cell, some warm body in a cell somewhere, and they did, because they wanted to make it look like they got the guy who did the thing. That happens all the time. And then, of course, corrupt cops and corrupt prosecutors, falsifying evidence. I mean, so many just absolutely horrifying, harrowing stories of people who've had, in this case, a dozen years of his life ripped away from him.
Yeah.
And now you don't get anything, usually, in these circumstances, except your quote-unquote freedom back.
Right.
And you don't get like $100,000 a year or anything like that for all the time that you've lost.
Yeah.
Not that that would necessarily make up for anything, but it would be nice.
Well, even if you did, it would still be at the cost of the taxpayers, the tax victims.
Well, you know what? I don't care. Because the tax victims need to stop being so easily victimized.
Agreed.
If you're sick and tired of the government gang, wasting the money that you give them and putting innocent, peaceful people in prison, then maybe you should stop giving them so much money, or any at all, for that matter.
If you can.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. People are afraid to do that, understandably, because then the cops will go after you too, and they'll throw you out of your home.
People are afraid to just take their friggin' mask off. So,
I know. It's so sad. It's so sad. I saw some of those White Rose flyers. There was another one that I saw there. I don't know, for listeners that aren't familiar with this, there's the return of the White Rose Society.
What's the origin of the White Rose?
It was in Germany.
The return. Okay.
So in Germany, they had this sort of underground newsletter, basically, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
A group of people that were publishing counter information, counter propaganda to the government propaganda, and putting their lives on the line. And I believe they executed the leaders of the White Rose, if I recall correctly.
Well, then.
Yeah. But there's one here.
Yeah, I am in a group that has a White Rose label in the group.
Yeah, so there's the White Rose Society on Telegram. Their not website, but their Telegram chat room is t.me. So that's the URL, t.me/join the White Rose, all one word. And then they're posting every day there's posts of photographs of people who see, or maybe they're the people who put them up, the people who put up these labels, these printable labels that are like maybe 4x6. I'm not sure. I've never seen one printed, but
it's DIY stickers, like I used to do in the bands.
Yeah, and so they put them up on, like COVID-related signs or just random places in public or whatever. And so there's one that was taken in what appears to be it's a train in the United Kingdom, and it's got an image kind of like a clip art image of a doctor holding a piece of paper, and it says at the top, "You wear a face mask to avoid any hassle?" And the doctor's holding up a piece of paper that says, "Grow a pair. Here's a prescription for a pair of balls."
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of people out there who do this, where they don't want to put the mask on, but they also don't want to hassle. They're worried about what somebody might say to them. They're worried about getting stopped and not being allowed to go shopping, or whatever it is they're worried about being arrested in some places or ticketed. But unfortunately, it's that obedience that has led us to right where we are, which is an entire society full of fearful, masked up people that just are not acting like free people, and it's really pathetic.
It is.
It's embarrassing. So that's one of two stories that we have here. Captain, you have a related story.
I do, and it is very weird that these stories are somewhat similar.
Mm-hmm.
This is from the Free Thought Project. Longest-serving inmate for weed finally released. Son, wife, parents all died while he was in prison.
God.
So
let's talk about it coming up here in moments. If you want to weigh in, you can join us. I mean, does anybody out there actually still think these people should be in jail? I don't think people.
Don't.
Do people exist like that anymore?
I hope not.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Times finally on this issue are changing, and it's about damn time. This is Free Talk Live.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. With you in the studio, you've got Ian.
And the Reverend Captain Kickass is here.
And I want to invite you to visit our website. You can become a Free Talk Live amplifier. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. The idea is you can help Free Talk Live get on more radio stations. We've got over 185 stations today. We could have 250. We could have 300. It's possible, but it does take some money, take some effort, and that's what the AMP program is about. I want to thank T. Hammond, who is a Free Talk Live Gold amplifier. T. Hammond contributes $10 a month.
Or Thammond, as I like to call him.
He or she contributes $10 a month to the AMP program, and you could do that too. Now, we only ask for 5, so he's doing twice as much, so thank you.
Oh, dude, awesome.
T. Hammond, definitely appreciate that. And you get some cool perks. You get some benefits by doing that. Just go to amp.freetalklive.com. You can get signed up there. That's amp.freetalklive.com. Coming up, we'll tell you about a different story about a different person who was locked away in, I presume, a different prison for selling, allegedly, marijuana or transporting it. And they finally let him out of prison as well. We'll tell you about that on the way. But first, Ryan is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, listening to WGOW. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I've got 2 things, so I'm going to try to jam them in there real quick.
All right.
Well, first of all, I thought you guys were crazy as hell, and now I really enjoy your show.
Hey, cool.
I've been converted.
That means you might have gone crazy, but we still appreciate you.
First of all, real quick, I was at the grocery store this afternoon, and there was this gentleman in front of me without a mask on, and of course I didn't have mine on either because I never do.
Excellent.
And I jokingly said, "Hey man, where's your mask?" And he said, "Oh, I don't believe in those things." And I said, "I don't either." Nice. And he had commented that a couple of months ago his uncle had died suddenly of a heart attack, and on his death certificate was COVID.
Right. Jeez.
Instead of the heart attack. And the second thing that I have is, as of today, in England, Boris Johnson has done another total shutdown because of another strain of the virus.
Right.
That's reportedly 70% more contagious than the current one. So I guarantee you, my point being, that if Biden becomes president on January the 20th, that will be the perfect timing for that second strain to get here, and we will have
total lockdown,
another round of a total national shutdown. Mark my words.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I'm going to hang up now and listen to you guys, and thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for the depressing prediction, but it's probably true.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Ryan. Especially the bit about the death certificate. That needs to be highlighted repeatedly because people tend to have a very short attention span these days.
Sure.
These things that kind of go viral and show up, in your news feeds or whatever, they tend to be forgotten about within 2 weeks is generally the time frame of forgetfulness, or so it seems with these things. So, it's always good to remind people that happens. It's still happening. And the whole bit about the mutating virus, coronaviruses do that.
Mm-hmm.
The common cold does that. The
That's
flu
why
does
it's
that.
Corona-19.
Right. Exactly. And so, all coronaviruses continue to mutate. And so that's not really news. Now, is the government taking advantage of this in order to scare you into more subservience? Absolutely, yes, they are. Of course they are. And I said when this whole thing started, and they were all just like, oh, we got to lock down for 2 weeks. We got to flatten the curve. It's only 2 weeks. Come on. You can sacrifice just 2. It's only 2 weeks.
Only 2 years.
It's 2 weeks of your time that you can do that for the rest of humanity. I said, it's not going to be 2 weeks. Nope. In fact, I'll be surprised if it ever ends.
It hasn't ended yet. In fact, according to the story here, I just pulled up this UK piece that he was talking about, published just a few hours ago. CBS News reporting that families must cancel their Christmas gatherings, and most shops have to close in London and much of southern England, according to Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Said Saturday as he imposed,
I believe it's pronounced boring,
a new stricter level of COVID-19 restrictions on the region to curb rapidly spreading infections. Now, wait a minute. Didn't they already shut down most of London and other parts of this country, the UK, back in like November, and they were talking about Tier 3, this and that? Well, now Johnson said Saturday that the capital and other areas of southern England currently under Tier 3, the highest level of coronavirus restrictions, they'll be moving to an even stricter new Tier 4.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Here, have a new tier. Have a happy new tier. Except it won't be happy at all.
Welcome to imprisonment in your homes.
Right.
Clutch, the rock band, has a song called Escape from the Prison Planet.
Love it.
And that is exactly what humankind is becoming. They didn't have to build prisons to house all of the people that they wanted to arrest. They just turned your houses into the prisons.
So this new Tier 4 restrictions require all so-called non-essential shops, hairdressers, and indoor leisure venues to close after the end of business hours tonight. So it's now like, midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. there, so that's happening. With just 5 days to go until Christmas, Johnson also announced that a planned easing of socializing rules that would have allowed up to 3 households to meet in, quote, Christmas bubbles from December 23rd to December 27th will be cancelled for Tier 4 areas and sharply curtailed for the rest of England. No mixing of households will be allowed in Tier 4 except under very limited conditions outside in public places. In the rest of England, people will be allowed to meet in Christmas bubbles for just 1 day instead of 5, as the government originally planned. Quote, it is with a very heavy heart that I must tell you we cannot proceed with Christmas as planned. Oh, who saw this one coming? What a shocking surprise.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people didn't. If you're paying attention to how government operates and how they always use some sort of boogeyman, some sort of fear-mongering to get their way, you could see this coming a long way away.
It was at Thanksgiving. When it was right before Thanksgiving, the last time we were talking about UK and their so-called Tier 3 lockdowns, we were talking about this, and they were saying that, well, we just got to lock down for 3 weeks, and then we'll have a good Christmas together. That was actually what they were, pitching to people, was that, okay, just got to hunker down 3 weeks, and then you'll have Christmas. Well, no, we knew that wasn't going to be the case, and now, not only are you not going to have Christmas, but they've created a new tier of restrictions that did not exist prior to this week, and now they're imposing Tier 4.
Super ultra lockdown.
Tier 4.
There are people in Washington State that I'm aware of that believe that the newest lockdown that happened in that state they're literally blaming people who refused to mask for the newest lockdown. If only everybody would have masked up, we wouldn't have. And they're literally blaming those people for the lockdowns instead of the people who are locking them down.
That's right. It's blaming the victim.
Yes,
is what it is, and it's sick. And that's the real sickness here is the obedience.
I'm sure it's not just in Washington State. I just happen to know of some people who are genuinely exclaiming these things.
It's frustrating. If you want to comment, you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Johnson continued saying, I know how much emotion people invest in this time of year and how important it is for grandparents to see grandchildren. But when the virus changes its method of attack, we must change our method of defense. Whoa, you had Tier 3, the most restrictive tier. You said lockdown for 3 weeks, then we'll have Christmas. Well, clearly your lockdown did not stop the virus.
Yep.
So what's their answer? We'll lock down more. We'll come up with a new level of lockdown that's even more restrictive. And what's going to happen?
Nothing.
They're going to keep it going.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to lose more freedoms. That's what's going to happen. They're going to take more control, more for them, less for you. That's what's going to happen.
A fast-moving new variant of the coronavirus that is more than 70% more transmissible than existing strains appears to be driving the rapid spread in London and the southern England, said Johnson. London now has the highest infection rates in England. He said, quote, there is no evidence to suggest that it's more lethal or causes more severe illness. So why should we be concerned exactly? If it's not more lethal, if it's the same thing that just allegedly spreads faster or spreads better, then who cares?
Well, and
why are people so afraid?
Just as an aside, too, since I was talking about folks that I know or people that I've seen cross my feed, there are people in the medical industry who have received one of the vaccines who are celebrating having received the vaccine and then going out and giving hugs to people and bragging about, oh, I'm so glad I got the vaccine. I gave out 15 hugs today.
You're not supposed to do that.
And you know, you can still spread it even though you're vaccinated.
They're telling people that even though you get a vaccine, you still are supposed to continue social distancing, all this nonsense. So the vaccine isn't going to stop that.
Yeah. It's lame.
It's insane. If you want to comment, join us. Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bane Books at banebooks.com.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
Hopes remain high for a new COVID relief package. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Negotiations continued on Capitol Hill today among lawmakers trying to work through some final hurdles to a new COVID-19 relief package.
Back in the spring, Congress gave the Federal Reserve emergency powers to make it easier to lend money. Now, that authority ends December 31st. Republican Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey wants to make sure those powers disappear.
But now we have folks on the other side of the aisle who have a novel interpretation of the statute saying, oh, well, they don't really have to end. Or if they do end, we could bring them back to life.
The Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, says Toomey is trying to hamstring the Fed and the incoming Biden administration during the pandemic. Republicans are standing firm on their position.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Moderna's newly approved vaccines expected to begin arriving at destinations on Monday. Officials say initial shipments will go to about 3,700 locations. President-elect Joe Biden furthering his push for diversity on his cabinet, naming New Mexico Democratic Congresswoman Deb Haaland as his nominee for Interior Secretary.
The President-elect and Vice President-elect are committed to a diverse cabinet, and I'm honored and humbled to accept their nomination for Secretary of the Interior.
Meanwhile, President-elect Biden continues to be questioned about the investigation into his son, Hunter.
President-elect Joe Biden ignored shouted questions from reporters at his climate team announcement this afternoon, including one from Fox News' Peter Doocy, who asked him if he would support a special counsel handling the investigation. Instead, today, the president-elect tried to point people to what he wants to talk about, bragging that his cabinet is becoming one of the most diverse in American history.
Fox's Hillary Vaughn. America is listening to Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
The Electoral College voting to declare President-elect Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. Montana Republican Senator Steve Daines tells Cavuto Live he wants to see all the evidence to the Trump campaign's legal challenges.
Every member will be doing their own due diligence because there'll be a very important moment there on January 6th to ratify first what the Electoral College has done. And so until all the evidence is presented, the legal challenges are completed, I'm going to wait and see what happens here on January 6th.
President Trump continuing to refuse conceding the election, arguing that tampering and voter fraud took place in key battleground states. There are more allegations surrounding a controversial passenger jet in the Federal Aviation Administration.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
It's the Onion Radio News. A new crispy snack cracker will ease the crushing pain of modern life. The dull, all-consuming ache of present-day existence will be slightly alleviated when Nabisco's breakthrough TC McCrispy's line of crackers arrives today. Available in regular, Garden Ranch, and Zesty Cheddar, the new crackers will flood consumers' bodies with fat, salt, and starch to produce a pleasing sensation of warmth and nourishment, momentarily freeing them from a relentless, crushing sense of profound grief. Mel Krychak is Nabisco's Director of Corporate Communications.
Our tasty new snack cracker will, if only for a few lovely moments, significantly lessen the hideously bleak and empty torment of modern life that festers in every solitary soul.
Nabisco expects most despair-riddled consumers to eat an entire box in one sitting. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour here. Live Saturday edition of the show. With you tonight, it's Ian.
The captain.
We've been talking about things from, peaceful people being released from prison, which is a refreshing story to hear. In fact, tonight we've actually had two of them. We haven't started on the second one yet,
right.
But two people released from prison on life sentences for possession / selling or transportation
for weed
of cannabis.
Yeah.
And that somehow led us, we had phone calls, of course, open phones here tonight, and talking about the latest COVID crackdown in the UK, where they're claiming there's now a nightmare strain of the coronavirus that has, mutated and is now apparently 50 to 70% more contagious, but they admit not any more deadly.
Again, if there was an epidemic, you would see it in your daily life.
Everywhere. People would be dying.
You would see bodies in the streets. You would see people dropping dead when you're shopping.
Your friends would be dying.
Your friends, you would know, now I know some people know people who have, supposedly died from the COVID, but it's a very small percentage of the 325 million people in the United States.
Very small. You want to comment, join us here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. We're going to get to the rest of your story here, Captain, but first, to the phones, to your calls and thoughts. First up, he is John in Dover, Delaware, listening to WDOV. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, good evening. What are we going to do about this? We are constantly being lied to. We're constantly being bamboozled. We got ripped off in our election. This fake disease that's running around in my lying eyes, I guess they're not very truthful because I don't see people dying in the streets, man. I don't know one person that has had COVID, nor do I know one person that has died from COVID. This is a total farce. This country is our country, of the people, by the people, for the people. It's not theirs. We got to stand up. There needs to be something done about this, man, because these people are getting carried away, and I'm about sick and tired of it. I think all 80,000 of us, 80 million, that voted for Donald Trump need to march down to D.C., man.
Well, I didn't vote for Donald Trump.
I did.
I didn't vote for any of these clowns in D.C., and marching to D.C. isn't going to make any difference. What do you think they're going to do? Because you marched there? They're going to care about you all of a sudden?
Man. What can we do? Every time these other losers march down there, they get thrown all over the news media, and there's going to be riots, and oh my God, it changes the decision of the Supreme Court. They're scared to take a damn case because they're scared people are going to riot because the Antifas and the Black Lives Matter of the world.
Yep. What do you think they should do, Captain? What's the answer to John's question here?
Well, everybody individually, first of all, needs to take some steps. Check yourself out of the statist money as much as you possibly can. Stop using their money. Stop funding them as much as you can. There are ways to get around all sorts of things that the state does. Start employing some of them in your personal daily life. The other thing you need to do is exactly what you've done already. Call people and talk to them. Spread the word. They've already given us a leg down, if you will, by sort of outlawing gatherings, right? The founding fathers and that kind of a thing. They would gather in taverns and churches and restaurants, to discuss their plans for revolution, and that is not an option.
To communicate.
Right.
They do not want us to communicate because that's why they keep dividing us. That's why they keep the racism that is pretty much non-existent until they talk about it. That's why they keep the racism alive and well. They need the racism. They need the separation. Because God forbid we come together and we come against them as a force, it'll be a force to reckon with. And they will never be able to pull off the stuff that they're pulling off right now.
Yeah, there's certainly far more individuals than there are folks who enforce the laws of the government.
We outnumber them.
By, orders of magnitude. I don't care what kind of weapons they have.
But they have loyalists, okay? So there's a lot of loyalists out there to the state. There's a lot of people.
Useful idiots.
Well, to the state, they certainly are.
Indeed.
So I've got some suggestions too, John. I would suggest that, one, people who actually care about the ideas of liberty, I'm not talking about Trump voters, because those people, they might be good on some issues, but others, they just
I
don't
love
get it.
liberty, but I did support Donald Trump because we had to vote for a president. We're forced to have a president. And of all the people that were up for election in my 41 years on this earth, he's the only one that followed through with any of his policy promises.
Is the government smaller than it was when he started?
Excuse me?
Is the government, the federal government gang, are they smaller or less expensive than they were when Trump started?
He only had 4 years, and he cut back as many regulations.
Only had 4 years.
He's cut more regulations than any other president. He sure tried to put a damper on the government being big government.
Is that swamp still around?
So much. It's Donald Trump against the world, guys.
Yeah,
haven't you been watching what's going on?
Yeah, I don't buy that claim. Thank you for the call tonight, John. I do appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. He could have brought all the troops home. Yeah, he could have done that.
He could still do some good. He could still do some good, but he hasn't. He could pardon Edward Snowden. Yep. He could pardon Ross Ulbricht.
He could pardon every nonviolent drug offender in federal prison, which would be a huge chunk of the federal prisons. He could do a lot just as one man. But I don't want to take away credit for the things he did do. He has done some pardoning. He has, right? Like he let a lady go. I think Johnson was her last name. She was in prison for her life, basically, or most of it, for being involved in a cocaine deal, and she got released. So, he's done some stuff. He's removed some troops from some of the countries. He's pulling back some troops from Afghanistan, but not all of them.
He just rearranged the troops. I don't know that he brought any of them back.
Oh, is that what happened? I had not heard that.
I haven't looked into it, so I don't want to misspeak, but okay. I saw something that indicated that he, may have pulled troops out of, say, Afghanistan, but then just sent them, next door to Somalia or something like that, so that they're nearby should he need them again or something.
That's disappointing if that's the case. So 855-450-FREE is the number here, but just to answer the question a little bit further, what can people do?
Yes.
Well, take off the mask. Okay, so if you're somebody who actually believes in freedom, if you believe that, if you don't want to have the mask on, stop. Step one. That's an easy thing to do. Okay, you don't have to go up against the whole full force of the federal government on that one, right? Just take off the mask and don't apologize for it. So that's one thing. Two, if you actually do care about the ideas of freedom, then you ought to move to New Hampshire, pick up your life, do something with it, rather than just complaining. Because it's easy to sit on the internet and tap, 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 tap. Oh, this sucks. Da, 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 da. I hate this. Da, da. Well, why don't you do something about it rather than complaining about it on the internet? And we have a migration here that has had thousands move so far here to New Hampshire. It's why you and I know each other, Captain. We probably never would have met otherwise. And there are thousands who've moved, but we need thousands more. I mean, when I say thousands, I only mean 2 to 3,000. There's not that much more than that. And we've had a tremendous impact here in New Hampshire. So, and on a wider scale, that's what needs to happen here. And I'm not just talking about people. So, if you're a libertarian-minded person, you should move to New Hampshire. If you're a Trumper, you might be better off in Texas or something like that, right? So, people need to start making migratory moves based on their philosophies, based on their beliefs, and come to admit and understand that the federal government is a failed plan, is a failed concept. It is a failure from top to bottom.
Well, it's antique and barbaric.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that order.
And it needs to end. And so the idea of Texas, California, Vermont, New Hampshire, all these places seceding from the United States.
It's fantastic.
This is an idea that needs to move forward. It is an idea that people need to start taking seriously because we cannot get along with these other people who disagree with us. There's no point in trying.
Right.
Okay? It doesn't work. It just makes people angry because when one side wins, the other side gets angrier. And then the other side takes over, and then the other side gets angry. And they're constantly fighting one another. And they believe that if they just, I don't know what they think. They think they're going to somehow dominate completely this other side forever. No, they keep switching sides. They keep, the power keeps moving around, and everybody just hates each other.
It's the automatic game saying of the opposite the other people say. Right, that's all that happens in politics. Oh, it's a Democratic president. Oh, it's a Republican. Oh, it's a Democratic president. Oh, it's a Republican. Ping pong, and it's just the automatic saying of the opposite of what the other people are saying.
Yep. And so here we are looking at it from the outside. We're not, on either team. And it's like, well, whoever's in charge, it just keeps getting worse. Every president just is worse than the previous one.
I don't need a president. I'm completely capable of leading myself.
Indeed. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. And I like your suggestion, Captain, of getting into those alternative currencies like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, gold, silver. More coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, inviting you to take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number, if you want to join us on the radio, it's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. Here tonight, it's Ian.
And the captain.
Also want to say thanks to Bitcoin.com, longtime sponsor here on Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com is a great source to go and get the basics about cryptocurrency. I believe Bitcoin sort of popped through 24,000 today, didn't it? Yes, it did.
Ooh.
Yes, it
nice.
did. It is currently sitting at about 23,450, so it has fallen a little bit from its peak today, but another record high today on
so
Bitcoin.
that means it is the highest performing assets of all time in human history.
Really?
I read that somewhere.
I believe it.
Because it has outclassed everything. Right. If you put, I saw a chart. What was it? It was if you put $1,000 into, Bitcoin, a decade ago versus, anything else. Right.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Well, guess what? Bitcoin,
more than a million.
Bitcoin, you'd be a millionaire. Everything else, you might have a couple 100,000 or something.
Yeah.
Tops.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. You really owe it to yourself to learn the basics about this. There is a bit of a learning curve. It's not much, but there's a learning curve. There's some new concepts, new technology here. Take a few minutes out of your life. Go to Bitcoin.com. Click Get Started at the top and just watch the first video. If you feel like it, you can watch more, but that first one will give you the basics. And it's free to do that over at Bitcoin.com.
Well, in fact, if you do watch the first video, don't think that that's it. Now you're a Bitcoin expert. In fact, it's just enough to get you started with the basics. And so, I actually pointed somebody to this, and they were like, "Well, it doesn't explain this, and this, and that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not. If you'd like to,
you got more questions? There's more stuff to watch.
If you'd like to hire me for some consultation, I'm sure we can arrange that. But."
Right.
For the self-learner, there's plenty of other information out there, particularly at Bitcoin.com.
Check them out, Bitcoin.com. We go to your calls and thoughts. Jake is in Key West, Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jake.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Hey, I was just calling in to talk about these mandates that are going on.
Please.
I don't know if you guys have heard in Key West, Monroe County specifically, they have a $500 fine for anybody outside of their dwelling that does not have a mask on person.
Oh, my God.
And have they actually issued any of these fines?
I'm not too sure on that, but they seem to have won over the hearts and minds of the locals down here because I've been kicked out of 3 gas stations in the last 3 hours.
Wow. That's rough, man.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening to see. I'm not sure how easy it'll be to educate people. It's concerning.
Yeah, well, it's hard to get people to pay attention to something when they're afraid. When people have completely bought the government's line, hook, line, and sinker, and they really believe there's some sort of deadly disease going on out there, even though there's not really much evidence for it. But they buy what they see on the news, and they buy what they're being told by these politicians and these politically connected doctors, and they ignore everything else.
Yeah.
And it's really sad how fearful and how docile and how cowed the American people are. And I mean, it's an embarrassment. This is not a live free or die place. And even New Hampshire, the so-called live free or die state, is an embarrassment in a lot of ways. It's just so sad to walk around and see people like this, to see people driving in their car with a mask on, walking a dog by themselves with a mask on. I mean, I see it all over the place.
I saw somebody driving with their mask on my way to the studio tonight.
Jake, anything else you want to share?
It's pretty sad. almost everyone outdoors had one on as well. Even when I'm out fishing on a pier, and most people were wearing them for some reason. But
what if you go swimming or something, right? You're in the Keys. I assume swimming is still an activity that occurs even at this time of the year.
Well, I don't know. It seems like the water might transmit COVID too. They should probably stay out of it.
Jake, thanks for the call, man. I do appreciate hearing from you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the story. And I think a lot of us feel the same way.
I wonder if you can go surfboarding without your face mask on. If that's, or are you going to get a $500 fine for that too?
I'll tell you one thing. If they find me, I'm not paying it. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
People, look, if you go out, this is another thing. Somebody asks, well, what can you do? Well, don't obey these people.
Yeah,
and if
disobey is a thing you can actively do.
Right. And if they come at you, then don't pay them. Because if you pay them, then you're a sucker. And they know you're going to they know you're going to pay up. They're going to come after you again. Don't enrich them. Don't give them encouragement. Right. Every dollar you give them is an encouragement to do more with it. Then they'll say, hey, this is working. People are paying us. Let's hand out more tickets.
Right.
So stop doing what you're told and start living the way that you want to live. If you're a business owner, throw your doors open, hang out the shingle, and let people know you're back open, and take whatever risk comes with that, because you're going to lose your business. Another business I just found out tonight here, Captain, weren't we looking at the businesses for sale here in Keene?
Yeah.
And one of them was a fancy restaurant called Fireworks.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Yes.
They're now out of business.
Oh.
Yep.
They were selling the business for a relatively inexpensive price.
Less than $200,000.
Although, like you said, you'd have to be crazy to try and purchase a restaurant in this particular environment.
And apparently no one bothered, because no one bought the restaurants.
It was crazy cheap, too.
Yeah, the owner just decided to shut it down.
Wow.
So as a result, now a lot of their customers are going over to Little Zoe's here in Keene, and they're ordering pizzas from there. So they've had more business now. But that's what we're going to see throughout the wintertime. We're going to see more businesses going under. And these poor business owners, they're so upset, rightfully so, because they haven't had a fair shake. They can't make their own. They feel like they can't make their own decisions for themselves, and that's got to be really frustrating to somebody
the frustrating thing to me, if I were a business owner, is to see. I can't see any difference between it being any more dangerous to go shop at frickin' Walmart than to go shop at mom and pop stores.
Right.
I don't see any difference between going through the drive-through at McDonald's and ordering takeout from Bill and Bob's down the road.
Oh, well, you can still order takeout. They're still quote letting
some places,
you.
Right? If that's it, I've read too that a lot of these places that are still doing like the takeout and they haven't opened their doors and that kind of thing, like they're
hurting.
They're barely just kind of keeping it afloat,
right? Because
they're not making any money.
Well, of course. I mean, even though people still need to eat, if they are out of a job, they're sure as hell not. They shouldn't be ordering takeout. It costs too much, right? Like. So there's all the people that might have previously done more eating out because they had a job. Now they might have lost their job, or maybe they were told by their boss, "Yeah, you can keep your job, but we're going to give you a 40% pay cut."
Right?
You want to keep your job, or do you want to go? Because it's up to you. So now the money that you have is less than what it was before, and even if you have the same amount of money, it's not worth as much as it was before.
That's
so.
For sure.
People are in a bad way, and takeout is not cheap, especially if you're doing something like a DoorDash or an Uber. Now you're talking about adding on an extra $10 or $15 or whatever it costs.
Tip on top of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's insane. So it's frustrating. If you want to comment, please join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And like I said, the restrictions keep getting worse. You got the UK going into so-called Tier 4, which they've never had before. It's now an even more restrictive tier. People aren't allowed to even meet with their neighbors, meet with any loved ones during the Christmas season. In fact, we've got a Christmas-related story that I want to get to tonight, Captain, that you brought in, which is really depressing.
Oh, it's sad. It's sad.
This is even
sad.
more depressing. This story you're going to tell us about is even more sad and depressing than the shower curtain, cuddle curtain things where they're hugging people through plastic curtains. This is even worse than that. Coming up, we'll tell you about it on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have two cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Oh yeah, it's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday episode of the program. We do this thing 7 nights a week, by the way, so if you miss a moment, you can always go to freetalklive.com and download to your heart's content as much as you would like for free.
This show puts out a ton of content, just in case you didn't know that, listeners.
Yes, indeed. So go and grab it up for free over at freetalklive.com, as we are going to go to more of your phone calls and thoughts. We still have the other marijuana-related release, a guy another person being released. We talked about one story earlier from prison.
Ironically, the reason I brought this article in wasn't necessarily because of the headline of the fact that he's been released. Now, that's news in and of itself. That I believe he was the longest-serving marijuana inmate in prison. But there's a statement that they make, and we'll get to that. But I brought it in specifically because of the statement that they make that I want to make sure we get to at least out of that article.
That's the plan here, but of course your calls and thoughts come first, so we're going to the phones, to the fun. Scott in Myrtle Beach, you're on Free Talk Live listening to WRNN. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, hey, I was listening to what you were saying earlier about the virus and people wearing masks in their car. That's kind of ridiculous if they're by themselves. But on the other hand, when you're talking about families getting together for the holidays, the thing that's kind of concerning is that I have a mother-in-law. My wife passed away years ago, but I have a mother-in-law that has diabetes. Her leg was just amputated. And for Christmas, she's not able to get not able to get with the rest of the family because of her susceptibility to the virus. And I think there are a lot of people that are like that, where I think the mask isn't entirely a bad idea in certain circumstances, in certain ways. And I don't know that going to the mall without a mask and lingering with a bunch of people, because there's a period of where the disease is dormant. You have it, and you don't even know you have it. So I think
most people who get it, that's the entire time. Most people who get it don't have any kind of symptoms whatsoever. Supposedly they have it. They're testing for it, testing positive. Of course, we know the tests are a load of crap, too. They're cranked up on the, what do they call it? Revolutions. Yeah. And basically means that there's all kinds of false positives on those tests. But regardless, even the people that do, even the people that do get it and do show symptoms, they survive it, almost all of them. So, look, if your mom or whatever, if your family member has some sort of issue, then she should quarantine herself and stay away from people if she's worried about stuff. But the rest of us, we got a life to live, and some of us want to enjoy our lives.
Well, the fact of the matter is she doesn't really have a choice because she lives in a situation where she's living with family and there are a lot of people around, unfortunately. And it's kind of like a lot of these people, I feel sorry for some of the people who are in assisted livings and their families can't see them. But, I mean, those folks are dropping like flies.
Yeah, Scott, again, my point isn't that nobody should be wearing masks. My point is that everybody should be allowed to make their own choice.
Yeah, you can wear a mask all you want. It's your face. I don't care what you do to it.
If you have circumstances, like you're saying, and you believe that the masks are going to help you in your circumstance, then by all means, exercise every option you have to mitigate those circumstances. But by no means should anybody be forcing everybody else to put one on when they've stopped nothing statistically.
See, well, we can disagree on that, I suppose. I feel like there's a certain amount of responsibility you take for yourself and other people.
The rate of transmission between
other people.
The rate of transmission from people completely masked up and quarantined versus those who aren't masked up and aren't quarantined is exactly the same rate of transmission. The masks aren't doing a thing to stop the rate of transmission. The disease is continually transmitted between people, whether they're masked or not. The masks are
It's
farce.
a totem. It's a ritual. That's all it is. But look, you said we can disagree. Okay, cool. We're going to disagree. Now, are we allowed to disagree without you sending cops after us to throw us in a cage?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, we're not standing next to each other. I mean, we're over the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, what if I was in the mall and you were in the same mall? Then what?
I would just stay away from you.
Okay, fine. So you don't think that the cops should be going around threatening people and stealing from them and giving them tickets and things like that, right?
Not unless they're in an enclosed area where they're breathing on a whole lot of other people. Then they might have to say to them, "You need to either put on a mask or or leave or do something." I mean, there has to be some kind of help for people that are innocent that are in a situation where they don't want somebody breathing on them. They have the right not to be susceptible to that. I think.
So there's no evidence that this thing is transmitted airborne. Hasn't been proven.
Even if there was, the TB is transmitted airborne. There's all kinds of things that are transmitted airborne. Now, all of a sudden, breathing is a problem? Now we can't be in enclosed spaces with other people who are breathing? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, it's only ridiculous to the extent that I understand your point. I understand what you're saying, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Well, I would rather take risks. and enjoy my life. Thank you for the call, Scott. But, if you want to live a super safe life, then by all means, put on a helmet, put on the knee pads, put on 5 masks, put on all your little safety equipment that you want to. Right. I don't care what you do to yourself. Just don't tell me how to live, okay? To me, safety's overrated. Whenever somebody says, be safe, I always want to say back, and sometimes I do. It depends on the circumstance, right? But I will say, no, safety's overrated. I appreciate your sentiment. I appreciate where you're coming from. I get it, but I'm not interested in that.
I don't like being wrong, but to my knowledge, I have not been shown any evidence that the coronavirus is spread airborne.
TB is spread airborne.
Yeah.
Over 1 million people a year die from that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, there's all kinds of things that are spread airborne. And you know what? We were fine.
Yeah.
Most people were totally fine.
Well, and, we've seen all sorts of it. We've covered it here on Free Talk Live, the extreme Marine quarantine, right? This is where the Marines did the most hardcore quarantine possible.
Yep.
And the rate of transmission was exactly the same.
Constant cleaning, constant sanitizing, constant obedience.
Masks. I mean, the whole thing, it's military, right? Yeah. So you can't get more obedient than that, at least, in my time here on planet Earth. So we've seen that. We've seen that the number of deaths overall has actually gone down this year compared to last year. So there's been actually fewer people who have died this year than last year.
Apparently the flu isn't even a thing anymore.
And apparently the flu is just gone.
Yeah. How's that happen?
Right.
Exactly?
I was reading an article where a doctor had called another doctor and a couple other doctors to say, hey, have you prescribed any Tamiflu this year? And they're like, yeah, no, I haven't. Have you? Nope, me either. So... apparently, COVID has replaced the flu.
Or something. I mean, what has really gone on there? And, that attitude that Scott had of, well, better to be safe than sorry, that's the dividing line between these groups, right? It's not politics. It's fear. Yeah. How many people want to live their lives based out of fear, and how many people want to live their lives because they understand that risk is inherent in living and you have to accept it, and you really ought to embrace taking risks. It's what makes life interesting and fun.
Yeah, the fact that they've convinced people that otherwise normal, healthy people breathing fresh air is somehow a threat to them is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever freaking heard.
I want to go to Jet. He's on the line in Miami. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Captain Kickass.
Yeah, well, I think the best thing is to wear 2 masks. That way you cover for the other guy, too. But people are asking what they should do. And I know I know that you know what I'm going to say partially, but I just want to remind the audience that the first thing one has to do is acknowledge that these people who have given themselves titles are just other people who have no greater right to do anything than you or I.
That's true.
And worse, when they try to BS us with this thing about they're our servants telling us what to do. So what I want to do is encourage people to build what I call the foundation of freedom, which is done by eliminating certain terms in your speech. Government, of course, which is the big one because it really doesn't exist except in the mind as a form of psychology, should we say?
Yes.
And I implore everyone to avoid using titles too for these people because they're just other people.
You mean like president and governor and mayor,
officer,
stuff like that?
Yeah, because by doing that, you essentially legitimize this concept of lords, that certain people have the right, power, and authority to lord over you. And they've given it magically by giving themselves titles. So, and we don't want to promote this imagination that they have some type of magic power to tell us to jump and how high.
Stand by, Jet. If you got more to say, we can bring you back here on this topic. You can bring up what you want. Free Talk Live.
The stress levels of Americans may be at an all-time high. From education to business to basic needs to politics, the 2020 pandemic-related stressors are pushing many of us to near breaking point. That's why you should consider the stress and pain-relieving products from sunny-bay.com, like our lavender neck wraps and pads infused with premium Washington lavender buds. They relieve tension and relax with a soothing scent of lavender. And lifestyle expert Jennifer Bonner recommends products from Sunny Bay.
Sunny Bay's hands-free neck wrap should be your go-to pain relief solution.
Give gifts to family and friends that relieve stress and pain. Give love and care by giving the best. Give pillows, neck wraps, and body wraps from sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company. Just click sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and we invite you here on this live Saturday episode of the show. You can dial in toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's Ian with you.
And the captain.
And for a long time, liberty-minded folks have wanted an online directory of freedom-friendly businesses. Well, now you have it. It's liberty.menu. And not only is it for business owners to list their business, possibly get some new customers through the door or online, you can also list the event that you might be organizing, or perhaps digital content of which you are the creator. You can put all of those things there so other freedom-friendly folks can find them, and maybe you'll get some new customers. Go to liberty.menu. It's free to do it, so why not? Unless you want to stay in the closet and not let anybody know that you care about freedom. Liberty.menu, it's also a great place, like I said, you want to promote an event. Getting tired of Facebook taking down your protests events? Well, just make one on liberty.menu and then share that link out on social media. Liberty.menu. Go check it out. We go back to Jet in Miami. Jet, you were talking about people and what you described as the foundation of freedom, where folks out there should consider getting rid of the whole terminology of governments and office holders and, using their positions and sort of elevating these other human beings whose S stinks too to some sort of special position over others when they're just other people, right?
Well, that's it. The whole idea of government is based on psychology. Yeah. So I try as much as I can whenever I talk to people is help them into this understanding that people with titles are just other people. And I think once the masses get that into their head, that they're just other humans, the jig is up. So we have to lose this. Have to get to this point of losing the fear by building what I call the foundation of freedom. Whether you do this with self-talk, meditation, you put up a vision wall, whatever things of those things you want to have, or however you want to do it, you have to come to the place where you are the one who gets to choose for yourself. It's really that simple.
I like it. Jet, anything else you want to share?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Dan is in Portland, Maine, listening to WLOB. Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Ian. There are ways to protect yourself from airborne diseases. You don't have to require other people to wear the mask, which really don't work anyway. Mm-hmm. The best way that I have found, and I use it day in and day out, is to put a cotton cloth in my mouth and use it like a filter. I buy the bar cloths, they're called. They're 100% cotton. Cut a piece of it out, put it in your mouth, use it for when you go to the bathroom. Those smells are not just smells. They're little pieces of you-know-what. You block those from going in. You can use it for smoke. You can use it for viral diseases. I have avoided viral diseases from people breathing out that viral mist. And I want to do one other thing quick. I want to give you a Christmas present.
Okay.
Take any liquid, any nutritious liquid, take the cover off, squeeze it to the top, put the cover on. This will preserve your liquids much, much longer. Just to show you how dramatic this is, if you do it for soda, you know how fast soda spoils once you open it? It does not spoil. It stays as if you never
Because you're taking the
it.
air out of the bottle. Is what
The
you're saying.
oxygen, yes.
Yeah.
And the only reason that it does work for milk and other things really well, but milk has little tiny air bubbles in it. That's why you have to refrigerate milk before you open it. You don't have to soda. But this will work also for your salad oils and stop rancidity dead in its track. Now, your salad oils come in hard to squeeze bottles, so you're going to have to put it in a water bottle or something. And I would recommend you keep it very cold, like keeping it in the freezer. But this will stop all of those diseases caused by rancidity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, premature aging, and birth defects.
Wow. That's a lot of claims there, Dan. I don't know. Thanks for the call, man.
I'm
I do
a physicist.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
I'm going to have to go listen to this episode just to get all of that. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with probably most of that. But if that's what you want to do, like, for instance, if the salad dressing goes bad, I'm just going to throw it out. It sits there for months, and it's fine, so I'm not too worried about it.
You don't eat your salad naked. Speaking of which, I wanted to let all of our listeners know that today is the first day of 2020 that I have worn pants into the studio.
Hey, all right.
I usually don't wear pants here in the studio.
Because it's snowy out there.
Everybody's thinking, what? I wear shorts is generally
it's your thing.
My clothing of choice. I'm a winter denier.
Okay.
Sweet. I like to deny that winter is existing.
I wish I could do that, but my toes start getting really cold.
I can only do it until the snow gets so high that it's not practical to wear shorts anymore. The snow gets up around your ankles and
falls into your shoes.
Yeah, and I wear high tops, so I got a little more play than most folks, but
not when the snow is 2 feet high.
Yeah, when we got 2 feet of snow, I was like, well, time to bust out the pants.
Hey, Captain, let's get into this second story we've been teasing all night here with the cops, or I guess arresting somebody for possession or transporting cannabis, putting him in prison for 90 years.
I've got this dialed in since,
Let's do it.
We have a shorter period of time. Richard Delesi, age 71, has been in prison for the last 31 years for selling cannabis. In 1989, he was caught smuggling the plant, which has never killed anyone, into Florida. The judge mistakenly thought Delesi was part of an organized crime organization because he was an Italian from New York. So he sentenced him to 90 years in prison. During his time in prison, Delesi's family reportedly spent more than $250,000 on attorney's fees and over $80,000 on long-distance international calls.
Oh, my God.
Finally, this month, all that time and money paid off, and Delesi was freed.
Yeah, but did they get the money back?
Oh, no. Of course not. His release was bittersweet. However, while locked in the cage for selling the plant, Delesi's parents, wife, and son all passed away.
My God.
He was like 40 when he was put into prison. So his adult daughter was also in a horrific car accident and suffered a paralyzing stroke as a result.
Man.
Because the state kidnaps and cages people for possessing a plant, this poor man missed his own son's funeral and did not get to say goodbye to his parents or wife. Tragic.
All over a plant.
Indeed. All over a plant. Now, that is all very tragic, and I feel very, very bad for this guy. And also, it's
and the poor taxpayers who had to pay $40,000 a year just to keep in there.
Yeah, on average, right? So who knows, what it actually cost, and for a victimless crime.
That's right.
Right, a thing that there's no victim, there's no property damage, there's no person who was harmed by what he was doing. So
nope. And I guarantee you, everybody he sold weed to, once he went to prison, they had another dealer. They found somebody else.
Right.
It's not like putting a weed dealer in a jail cell gets rid of weed. It doesn't get it off the streets. It just removes one of the sellers, so that creates a market opportunity for somebody else who's willing to take the risk and jump into the business and take those customers.
So there's some numbers here they go into that I want to make sure I get out. According to recently released Uniform Crime Report, police arrested 602 people for cannabis-related crimes in 2019. That arrest rate is 9% higher than the 495,871 people arrested for violent crimes in the same year.
Wow.
So 9% more people are arrested for cannabis
in 2019
than violent crimes combined.
Wow. Now, was this just Florida they were talking about, or nationwide? I'm sorry, I missed the numbers.
Well, that's got to be nationwide.
Okay.
That's 545,000 people.
Yeah, that's nationwide. Okay.
As Forbes point out, cops aren't arresting cannabis kingpins with thousands of pounds of pot. They like to prey on the little people, known to cops as the low-hanging fruit.
Sure. The little people aren't going to fight back.
And this is the important part, according to the Last Prisoner Project, the nonprofit that helped free this guy, Delesi, at least 40,000 prisoners are currently serving sentences for cannabis infractions that are now legal.
Oh, no. In the states, the 11 or so states where cannabis is legal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I keep pointing this out to people when they're in one of these states where, recreational marijuana is legal or even medical, and their politicians go, oh, well, we got to raise taxes because we need more money for X. It's like, you really? Really? No, you don't. How about you let the people who are in prison out, who are in there on marijuana charges, you let them out and take and redirect that money. How about that? There's your extra money.
Well, also, don't forget those people who, once you let them out of jail, they could actually go back to being a productive person again and get a job or start a business or whatever. And so that actually makes more money going, flowing through the economy, to which they could then tax. Not that I'm in favor of taxes, but, if you take 100,000 people out of jail and then they got 100,000 things they're doing, then that's more people doing things that are more productive.
There have been some people who've had their records expunged and some people who've been released and that kind of thing. But it's certainly not all of them, and it's far too few, and it should have been done well before.
And now there's 40,000 of them sitting in prison cells in the states in which they're legal.
Correct.
855-450, free like freedom. You want to talk to us about whatever's on your mind? You're invited to take control of the airwaves here. Coming up, probably one of the most insane things that we've heard thus far regarding this whole COVID situation. Coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
Distribution efforts already started. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Moderna's newly approved COVID-19 vaccines expected to begin shipping with arrival at destinations on Monday. General Gustav Perna, who leads Operation Warp Speed, says efforts have already begun.
Boxes are being packed and loaded today. Trucks will begin rolling out tomorrow from FedEx and UPS, delivering vaccines and kits to the American people across the United States.
Perna says a Moderna vaccine will be shipped to about 3,700 locations across the country. Congress holding a rare weekend session to finalize negotiations on a coronavirus stimulus bill.
They hope to forge a deal on the COVID bill today, but that has not happened yet. The holdup is a provision pushed by Republican Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey. Democrats say Toomey's plan prevents the Federal Reserve from providing emergency help during the pandemic. Toomey wants restrictions for the Fed.
We've never asked the Fed to engage in fiscal policy or promote social policy or to allocate credit based on political standing.
Toomey talked with Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He also met with Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer in an effort to resolve the dispute.
Fox's Chad Pergram. More Republicans are calling for a special counsel investigation into Hunter Biden and his overseas business dealings.
Other Republicans are worried that the U.S. attorney in Delaware who is leading the investigation, David Weiss, might feel pressure from the soon-to-be president and fellow Delaware resident Joe Biden. Congressman Andy Biggs telling the Washington Times today this, quote, "If there is a shift in administrations, do you think Weiss and his subordinates would risk advancement by taking down the president's son and brother and anyone else who may be implicated?"
Fox's Hillary Vaughn reporting from Wilmington. America is listening to Fox News.
Don't let the smart speaker be the only smart one in the room. Instead of binging on mindless entertainment or letting the news get your blood pressure up, feed your brain a Curiosity Stream. Curiosity Stream has been called the Netflix for documentaries, with on-demand access to thousands of documentaries, award-winning exclusives, and original programs for just $20 a year. You can get smarter entertainment at CuriosityStream.com. Watch anywhere on any device and cancel anytime. Whether it's Roman armor or convective cooking, they go deep on all subjects with nonfiction shows like Amazing Dino World, Pompeii Disaster Street, and The History of Home with Nick Offerman. And with Curiosity Stream, you're in good company. It was launched by Discovery Channel creator John Hendricks and has over 13 million subscribers worldwide. Join them right now, and for a limited time, get 25% off when you sign up at CuriosityStream.com/Fox. CuriosityStream.com/Fox for 25% off. CuriosityStream.com/Fox.
Israel's prime minister has been vaccinated against the coronavirus. The shot Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received today made him the first Israeli and among the world's first leaders to be inoculated. He received the injection of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine at the Sheba Medical Center near Tel Aviv. More and more businesses are having to lay off employees in the wake of coronavirus restrictions.
13% of small businesses are saying that they will need to lay off staff. That is up from 9% in July and September, really showing that more businesses are really needing to make these cuts. We know in San Diego, California, back and forth over a ruling there after a ruling that strip clubs serving food could still offer.
We've made significant progress wiring the nation's schools for the internet, but we have to do more. Every child in America should have an internet-capable computer in their bedroom at home, preferably with a high-resolution webcam. I have been to children's chat rooms and have been shocked and disappointed to find they are frequently empty. Even when these youngsters do manage to find their way online, they lack the skills to do something as simple as pinpoint their location on Google Maps. I long for the day when someone can log onto the Nickelodeon under 13 chat room and type, "Hey, any kids in here like to play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? I have a Nintendo at my house," and be overwhelmed with instant messages. Then I'll know we're doing our job supporting technology in this country.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's the Onion Radio News. Starbucks begins its sinister Phase 2 of operation. This is Doyle Redland reporting. After a decade of aggressive expansion throughout North America and abroad, Starbucks suddenly and unexpectedly closed its 56,423 worldwide locations today to prepare for what insiders call Phase 2 of the company's long-range plan. Cynthia Valcamp, Starbucks head of marketing, made this brief statement at a press conference earlier today.
We have enjoyed furnishing you with coffee-related beverages and are excited about the important role you play in our future plans.
Existing Starbucks franchises across the nation have been shuttered with high-strength titanium, and the well-known Starbucks logo has been slightly altered to present the familiar mermaid figure as a cyclopean mermaid whose all-seeing eye forms the apex of a world-spanning pyramid. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the third hour here on this live Saturday episode of the show. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
The Reverend Captain Kickass is also here.
We have been talking over the last year, not because, we want to, but because we have to, about all these ridiculous COVID crackdowns and rules and regulations and arbitrariness and tiers and restrictions. And then there's the bizarre ways that people are coping with this. The ways that people who want to see their family, because that's what people want to do, unless their families suck. But, if you like your family, you want to see them.
Or your chosen tribe, anyway. It doesn't have to be blood family.
You want to see your family, but you've bought into all the propaganda about how dangerous it is.
Feeling lonely this Christmas?
So what are they doing to deal with the fear that they've been sold? There are a variety of different things we've seen over this last most of a year.
Well, we've seen the explosion of video conferencing over the internet, right? So
sure. Zoom
has been the primary beneficiary. Yep. I'm sure their company, their CEO is going, holy crap, why didn't we think of this sooner?
Yeah. And by the way, Zoom is apparently a Chinese company.
Yep.
It's probably run by the Chinese government at some level or another. But, regardless of that, what we've seen as far as families specifically doing is some really, really sad stuff. But I got to say, the one you're going to tell us about here in a moment, it might take the cake, Captain. But one of the more pathetic ones that I remember from earlier this year, actually throughout the year, these stories keep coming up of the so-called cuddle curtains. I've seen them called that. There may be other names for them as well. But essentially, it's a transparent shower curtain that is hung from, say, a clothesline or something like that in the backyard. And then, grandma or mom or whoever can come out and stand on one side of the curtain, and then a child or whoever else they wants to hug grandma can stand on the other side of the curtain. And the really fancy ones have arm sleeves in them with plastic, not to where your arm can actually go through a hole, but where there's like plastic around, like a sleeves of plastic into which you insert your arms.
Right.
So,
it reminds me of the when a baby is born prematurely, they put them in the little incubator, and then it's got those like gloves attached to the insides of the wall, so you can still touch the baby without touching the baby.
Right, or the nuclear machine, like the where you can do that with like scientific things, right? Where you put your hands in the gloves and protect yourself from the radiation or whatever's in there. So yeah, like that. So, but just low tech, right? Just a shower curtain, and people hugging through this shower curtain, and I guess for them it was a really big, exciting deal, but for me looking at it, it was a really sad thing to see.
Yeah.
And so that's one example.
People are afraid of hugging now. People are afraid of normal, healthy people breathing fresh air, and also from hugging and other forms of human touch.
We've seen people taking seriously the government gang's stupid recommendations or threats or whatever about how to have a Thanksgiving where you don't actually contact anybody, with all kinds of obsessive. I mean, we went through the rules one night here on Free Talk Live as purported by the CDC about what to do, and the California government and others elsewhere about how you can't sit nearer than 6 feet to anybody who's not from your household. And then we just heard about these so-called Christmas bubbles over in the UK. You're not allowed to be with anybody who's from outside of your household, etc.
Folks are gearing up for a very strange and alienating sort of holiday season.
Yeah, they're saying that you can't, in California, you can't go, or San Francisco specifically, there are dating restrictions. You can't go on a double date. There's all kinds of just ridiculous nonsense going on, and people take this stuff seriously, and they sort of act proud of how, quote, innovative they are. Like, so these cuddle curtains are in every news article, are constantly being promoted as, this is so innovative. This is a way that you can, love your family again. And the one you're going to tell us about here, Captain, it's probably worse.
Well, fear not. I have good news, everyone.
Yep.
Life-size cardboard cutouts of relatives are here to save Christmas.
No.
This is so ridiculous.
This is not saving Christmas.
This is from the New York Post.
This is making Christmas the saddest, loneliest Christmas people have ever had.
Are actually printing and shipping life-size cardboard cutouts of themselves to their families. There's photos on this article of families standing next to cardboard cutouts of their relatives, waving and smiling. As if they are actually there.
Smiling as if they actually are happy.
There's one photo of a couple of girls where like the mom and dad and the family dog are the cardboard cutouts, and the two girls are standing in front of the Christmas tree, and they're out, as if, hey, here's our Christmas photo, everybody. I'm sure that's going on their Christmas cards that they're going to send to everybody.
It's unbelievable.
The New York Post says lockdown dashed any hopes that Dan and Denise Smith might spend the festive season with their loved ones, but it didn't nix the grandparents' plan to join them around the holiday tree in the safest way possible. The pair from Dallas, or at least the couple's life-size cardboard cutout, is now enjoying a tipple at the Panama City, Florida home of Dan's son, Jason. Jason's wife, Christy, and their teens, Kate and Maggie. The likenesses even include dog Billa, owned by the senior Smiths. It started out as a gag, but it's actually really touching that the children have us, quote, present, unquote, at Christmas when we can't be there in person during COVID-19.
By definition, it's not touching.
Yeah. It's the opposite of touching.
Sorry.
It's not
You're
touching.
1,000 miles away.
It might be thoughtful in a demented sort of way. She came up with the idea on Thanksgiving, a traditionally larger family gathering she shared this year just with Dan. As the pandemic continues to force people to celebrate the holidays apart.
No, the pandemic didn't force anyone.
Yeah, it's the government or the gangs, the goons, the thieves, the mafia, the liars, the lunatics in the organization known as government.
They're the ones who use force.
They're
the ones
forcing
who use
you to celebrate your holidays apart. A growing number of Americans are exchanging similar cardboard stand-ins in an effort to spread joy. and ease heartache. I don't understand how a cardboard cutout of your family member is going to spread joy.
I don't think
and
it is.
ease heartache.
I mean, the fact that these people are smiling just shows me that they've lost their minds. They are absolutely delusional if they think that this is somehow, worth smiling about. This is like one of the saddest things I've heard all year.
Get in your frickin' car and drive over to your relative's house, give them a hug, and say hello.
They don't want to. They think they're going to kill them. They think that's a deadly thing to do now.
Good guys.
So instead, they're going to look at this cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
And they're going to, what are they going to pretend to hug it too while they're at it? Are they going to get on a Zoom call?
Hold on. We get into the hugging part in a minute. Good Guys Signs, an online company offering life-sized cheer-ups for $79 a pop, told the Post its orders had tripled this winter. Their competitor, BuildAhead.com, which manufactures up to 6-foot-tall cutouts for $95, said sales have nearly doubled. Due to the coronavirus? No, due to the government's lockdown and their fear-mongering of coronavirus. We've had a lot of parents, quote, sending kids, unquote, to see Grandma and Grandpa for Christmas, and the other way around, too.
Mm-hmm.
Said James Green, co-owner of Build Ahead. The trend is especially popular among military families. Can you imagine? You're out there doing the bidding of politicians and otherwise occupying somebody else's land and that kind of a thing, and then here comes a life-size cardboard cutout of your family in your post call. I don't know. Happy recipient Jason, a 46-year-old nurse anesthesiologist, was certainly delighted by the cutout of his relatives. The duo mysteriously moves to different locations around the house, much like the love it or hate it Elf on the Shelf doll. Quote, it's a fun reminder of my folks and how they're always up for a celebratory drink,
it's not
unquote.
Fun. There's nothing fun about a lifeless piece of cardboard sitting in your living room or standing at the side of the dining room. There's nothing fun about that. You cannot talk to it. It is not warm. You can't hug it and feel like you're making any kind of connection. This is insane. Did you see the picture of Joe Biden giving an air hug to somebody? Did you see that one?
What's an air hug?
It means you're standing more than 6 feet apart, and you put your arms out as though you were going to hug a person, but then you just stand there and look at the person.
Full derp.
Yep. But this is even worse than that.
Biden has gone full derp.
855-450, free like freedom. You can join us. Share your thoughts on the cardboard families. Free Talk Live.
Pounds and pounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cat to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
This is novelist Tom Robbins.
When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. We are sharing a very, very bizarre and sad story about cardboard cutouts now being sent around to family members across the United States to supposedly stand in for the actual family members who are wherever it is that they are because they're afraid of actually being with their family and or vice versa.
This is even worse than like virtual reality. You know, I could see like a bunch of family members getting on the VR devices and, you know, meeting in VR world and, you know, having, you know, this is worse than that. Worse. It's cardboard cutouts, life-size cardboard cutouts.
Right. That's happening. And it's not just, this isn't new. When I went, I just looked, you know, online to see where the story was, what variants were there. And there's one from 3 weeks ago from People Magazine as well. A set of grandparents in Texas weren't able to be with their grandchildren in person for Thanksgiving, but that didn't stop them from finding a way to still be present at the dinner table. No, that's delusion.
Yes.
You're not present. You actually have to be there. You're also not present if you're in virtual reality, okay? That's also not really being present. It's you know, kind of neat, kind of technologically cool or whatever.
It's still virtual.
It's virtual. Virtual means not real.
Right.
Maybe seeming to be real, but it's not real. And when Missy and Barry Buchanan realized they wouldn't be able to travel for the holiday due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, this is again Thanksgiving time, the couple affectionately known as Amma and Poppy knew they had to get creative. Remember what I was saying before about the cuddle curtains? It's always presented as innovation, creativity. Oh, this is so great. This is so brilliant. Instead of missing out entirely, Missy decided to buy 2 life-size cardboard cutouts of her and Barry standing 6 feet tall and send them to their 4 grandkids, Texas and California, according to the outlet. Quote, "Family love is not going to change whether we're there or not," she told Good Morning America. She said that her daughter received the surprise package in the mail first. Almost instantly, the kids took the cutouts, propped them up around the house, and began snapping photos. She texted, "OMG, this is the funniest thing we've ever seen." Really? That's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your entire life? This is their daughter who is saying this.
Wow.
I think you're a little deprived here, folks. You're deprived of actual funny things happening in your life, and you've confused what is one of the saddest times of your life with one of the funniest times. Now, I guess, you know, You better laugh at it because, otherwise it will drive you insane. But you may already be there if you're actually entertained or amused by this ridiculousness.
Yeah, this article goes on with examples, and we'll share that, of course. But they say the same applies to Carolyn Rodriguez of Park City, Utah, who describes the cutout of her 3 adorable daughters. So she can't be with her daughters. Mm-hmm. Describes the cutout of her 3 adorable daughters as a holiday hug.
No.
Delivered to Grandma and Grandpa in California.
It's not a hug.
No, it's not.
You have to touch the person for it to be a hug. That's why I say this is even more sad than the cuddle curtain. At least the cuddle curtain is a half inch of plastic, or a quarter, tenth of a millimeter, or whatever it is, of plastic between you. Maybe you could actually feel the body heat of somebody through that. At least the person is standing there.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was the most pathetic thing I'd ever seen. This takes the cake.
Yep, you can't love a piece of cardboard. I mean, you can, but certainly
why don't they
seems
just
weird.
Take it to the next level? Why don't you get one of the sex dolls and put put Grandpa's face on the front of it?
You can 3D print faces, so why not do that?
I'm not saying you should have sex with the doll. You see what I'm saying? Like, at least then it would be a doll.
Sure, now we've gotten carried away, Ian. Way to go.
I mean, I don't know how much more sad this can get, Captain. This is like really depressing.
I had to put it on the air. I read this and I was like,
this is a must-cover story.
You're not going to believe what folks are doing. There's children hugging these things as if they, you know what I mean? They don't know what to do. They're like, oh, look, it's a cardboard cutout of some relatives that I miss. What are you supposed to do? What a horrible thing to send people to. Like, sorry, we're too scared to show up at your house for the holidays. What an egotistical thing, too. Here's a cutout of me. Happy holidays.
Let's go to the phones here. We got Tim. He's in Texarkana, Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tim.
How you doing, man?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I've called you before. Hell, before I was a whole lot drunk when I called, but
right.
I ain't so bad. Now.
Excellent.
I don't always. I even said it the last time we talked. I don't always agree with everything that you say. I'm
That's
not
okay.
a liberal.
We aren't
but
either.
You know what?
We're libertarians.
Everything I hear you talk about, I do agree on. A lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff, and the one thing I have a big problem with right now, and it has nothing to do with you, the station that I listen to here in Texarkana, Texas. I'm originally from New Hampshire.
Oh, cool.
I am a New Hampshireite.
Nice.
Raised in Vermont and from New Hampshire and moved down here. I'm a truck driver.
Okay.
And there's one station or one website that I am sure of, and that's InfoWars. I'm sorry. I know you don't always agree on everything, but he does tell the truth. I've looked up his links.
How do you feel about Jones? So you're talking about Alex Jones, the guy behind InfoWars. How do you feel about Jones now supporting martial law?
I may think it might be necessary right at this point.
Wow.
Because why? Because at this point, if Trump pulls his major card and makes this happen, because it was obvious that this was stolen. I've seen the information. I've been warning about these voter boxes, the electronic voter boxes, for 10 years. My family up in New Hampshire and Vermont have disowned me because of this and said I was nuts.
So hold on, I want to know about this martial law. What do you want to see happen with martial law? What do you think should be the goal?
I want to see heads roll. I want to see accountability. If our judicial system is broken right now, for the likes of you and me.
So putting the military in charge is going to fix it, right?
I don't know that. I don't know that. All I know is...
Do you remember when Alex Jones used to make videos called Police State 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, I saw them all.
Yeah. Remember when Alex Jones used to be against the police state? Isn't it kind of weird that now he's in favor of it?
No, but
no, that didn't strike you as hypocritical or strange?
No,
Nothing weird there, huh? Not like a total turnaround of opinion in 20 years. I mean, people can change, obviously, but that's kind of a weird thing to me.
Explain to me.
For somebody to be so anti-police state to now actually be advocating for the essence of a total police state, a military police state, martial law.
I mean, we kind of have martial law now. The only thing that's missing is, of course, military in the streets. Yeah.
Oh, and of course, Jones doesn't want martial law if Biden's in charge. He wants martial law by Trump, because that makes it okay. Thanks for the call, Tim. I appreciate it. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. We're here to take your calls, your thoughts about whatever's on your mind. 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Matrix chat room. You can go in there and actually multiple chat rooms, in fact, and you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. By the way, that sequel's coming out next year. Matrix 4.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. They're going to be doing that one direct to HBO Max, so you won't.
Because they can't do anything else.
Well, they could go. I mean, technically, it will release in some theaters, but no one's going to them.
Yeah,
AMC theaters may be going out of business.
Maybe some drive-through theaters. Yeah, we've talked about this on the air.
Very bad. So anyway, go to chat.lrn.fm. You can learn the steps to take to get on our Matrix server and interact with other Free Talk Live listeners.
Real quick, the previous caller mentioned something about, the system is fraudulent, right? The voting machines and all that kind of thing. And there is some truth. These voting machines are crap, right? The people the software people behind them, the companies behind them, they're doing a poor job. But to me, all presidential elections are fraudulent because what they do is they attempt to manufacture fake consent with your vote.
Well, you voted for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've never actually consented to being a citizen of the United States of America.
Unless you did. If you were an immigrant.
If you're an immigrant, right. But if you were born, and then in the United States of America, and then, your parents got you a birth certificate or whatever, and then you got your first job and you were making, $5 an hour, and, you expected a $200 paycheck and it was only $125. You're like, well, what happened? And then it just shows you right there on your pay stub that the government took, half your money or whatever, a quarter of your money or whatever it is. So you never consented to that.
I did not.
I didn't. I sure didn't. Nor did anybody else who was born in the geographic area known as the United States. But this facade known as an election attempts to give you the idea that you have consented because you've put your check mark next to the name of a guy.
Yep, now you have to do whatever this lunatic wants you to do.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your calls and thoughts here, and then we can talk more about cardboard cutouts and other ridiculous nonsense going on to separate people from one another, to disconnect other humans from their humanity, and I think the damage that's being done, especially to children in this, is really, really bad. But let's go first to Steve in Connecticut. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and the Captain.
Hey, Ian. Hey, Captain. It's your political refugee from Connecticut. How are you?
What's on your mind tonight?
What's up, Steve?
Hey, those cardboard cutouts. It must be the people who are all masked up. They probably don't get enough oxygen. They probably are breathing in synthetic fluoride, and they think these cardboard cutouts are a great idea.
Yeah, they're delirious.
Oddly enough,
it's the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing they've ever seen.
Yeah, oddly enough, the cutouts are not wearing masks.
That's dangerous.
I think that maybe they should be charging extra for the masks, these manufacturers.
Yeah. I mean, what I would, if someone ever sent that to me, I would just set up a FaceTime live with them and just say, look, you're going right in the fireplace. How about that?
Thanks for keeping me warm.
There goes Uncle Jim.
Hey, all these restrictions that are coming around for Christmas, and you can't gather, right? You can't have more than, 5 people, 10 people. I don't know what it is. State to state, it changes, but
it does.
I think it might be a misdemeanor if you have even a birthday party, right?
Well, anybody who in most states with the emergency order statutes, it is a misdemeanor charge to disobey an emergency order from the governor. So anything that the governor has ordered.
So if I'm throwing a birthday party, there's 10 people over there. All right, those 10 people will get the misdemeanor. So what about the person who is actually, it's their birthday and they blow out the candles on the cake? Who's going to eat that cake? Is that person a felon now? It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
It depends on how many candles. So I think if you're over 10 years old, you'd be a felon. But under 10 years old, you're probably just a misdemeanor because of 10 candles.
Who's going to eat that cake?
Well, the 10-year-old.
All by himself.
Great show tonight,
Steve,
guys.
thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
In other Christmas-related news, there's also the insanity coming to the local Santa Claus setup. You remember the local mall where you'd go there with your parents in the 80s or 70s or whenever you were going there in the 90s?
Yep.
And, you had Santa Claus and the kids were waiting in line. And you
sit on his lap and all that.
Sit on his lap, tell him what you want for Christmas, and they give you some little trinket or whatever. You get like a candy cane.
Yeah, this is all germaphobe Santa
or something. Yeah, so now they've got the new version of Santa Claus, and we talked earlier about that. But is there more to this story about the cardboard cutouts, or do we pretty much?
I mean, there's
that?
just more examples of people giving their reaction to
people who are
receiving these,
overexcited about seeing a piece of cardboard.
It's nothing we need to really cover anymore. It's sad. It's pathetic. I'm more concerned, like you mentioned, for the children in these circumstances. Like, they're going to be hugging a cardboard cutout. Oh, Grandma, they did mention something about one of the kids like talking to the grandparents cutout. Hey, Grandma, how are you? It's good to see you. That kind of a thing. And it's like,
dead silence. In return. Yeah. Let's go to Geraldine. She's in Daytona Beach, Florida, listening to WNDB. Hello, Geraldine.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi. I get a lot of harassment from everybody because I do not wear a mask.
All right.
I like you already.
Because back in 2003, January, we were in Thailand, and there was an outbreak of COVID in China. So when we got back to LA, the CDC was handing out, folders. If you get these symptoms in 7 to 10 days, see your doctor. So I did my 10th day, and I've had SARS. But people don't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
They think that this is just a new virus. Oh, it's not that old. Because I think this is all nuts. I'm 70. I've never seen such craziness in my life.
Yeah, the full name, I believe, is SARS-CoV-19, something along those lines. It does actually have
SARS, it was 02.
02. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Right,
yeah.
right. But I'm saying that
COVID-02.
COVID is also a form of SARS, and SARS stands for Sudden Acute Respiratory Syndrome.
Correct.
Geraldine, do you have grandkids?
Yes, they were all exposed.
Can you imagine not seeing your grandkids because you were so afraid of what might happen?
No, not ever. Right. I'm not afraid. I want to live my life.
Right, and part of that is seeing the people that you care about and expressing that you love those people and being able to contact them. And I just can't even imagine how mentally distressing and damaging this is to those grandchildren. Like these grandparents who are doing, you're hurting your grandchildren if you are
They are so brainwashed, my grandchildren, who are now 21, 23.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
I mean, even the 15-year-old. But I was kept a secret in Daytona Beach back in 2003 when I came down with SARS.
Mm-hmm.
The health department didn't want anybody to know about me. The infectious control doctor, they hid me tight down. I'm telling you. But they were not going to let my daughter work as a CNA or my granddaughter go to school because she had contact with me.
Wow.
I've never had the flu. I've never had a flu shot. And this vaccine, as far as I'm concerned, is the way to track us.
What sort of things are you encountering? You said people are giving you a hard time in public. Can you give us an example?
Well, I was harassed by a stock boy in Walmart.
Out of control.
He went and got his manager because I said, get your manager. And, I get asked all the time, people, I hear comments. And so I go up to them and I said, let me tell you something. Your little rude comment, I had SARS in 2003, January of 2003. You're crazy. It wasn't around back then.
These people don't know anything what they're talking about. Thank you, Geraldine. I appreciate your stories tonight. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Thanks for being strong out there and setting a good example for people. An example of courage. And appreciate hearing from you. I'm sorry to hear that your grandchildren aren't reciprocating. So sad.
Yeah.
More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
The stress levels of Americans may be at an all-time high. From education to business to basic needs to politics, the 2020 pandemic-related stressors are pushing many of us to near breaking point. That's why you should consider the stress and pain-relieving products from sunny-bay.com, like our lavender neck wraps and pads infused with premium Washington lavender buds. They relieve tension and relax with a soothing scent of lavender. And lifestyle expert Jennifer Bonner recommends products from Sunny Bay.
Sunny Bay's hands-free neck wrap should be your go-to pain relief solution.
Give gifts to family and friends that relieve stress and pain. Give love and care by giving the best. Give pillows, neck wraps, and body wraps from sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company. Just click sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain on this episode. We might be able to get you in if you're already on hold. If we don't get you in tonight, that's okay. The captain will be back tomorrow.
Oh, I will. That's right.
To host the Sunday show.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yes. And we do this thing 7 nights a week. So if you missed a moment, no problem. You can just go to freetalklive.com. You can download archives. They go back for more than a decade. almost a decade and a half, all for free over at freetalklive.com. Please enjoy those. Also, coming up in the summertime of 2021.
Summertime.
It's going to be Fork Fest 2021. It will be the 5th annual Fork Fest, a decentralized libertarian camping festival in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire at Rogers Campground, which you attended for the very first time this year, Captain.
I did, and I have to say that if you're listening to me, you should get the fork out here.
Yes.
And join us for Fork Fest.
No cardboard cutouts allowed.
No.
You must come in real life.
If
you attend.
Bring or mail a cardboard cutout of yourself, I will burn you.
Zoom conferences will not work.
The cardboard cutout, that is.
You don't have the internet bandwidth for Zoom there.
Yeah,
so
do they even have internet there?
Disconnect, it's very poor. It's better than it's ever been, but it's still not that great.
I imagine there's going to be people afraid of that. Like, I can't be where there's no internet. I'm afraid.
Well, you don't belong there at Forkfest if that's the case. Worst case, you can go down the road and go to the McDonald's and use their internet or something like that. But come on out, go to forkfest.party. It is decentralized. That means that there's no one who is in charge of this event. There's not an organizer. There's not a board of directors. It's just you. You get to decide what to do. Do you want to create a thing for other people to enjoy, or do you want to just go out and enjoy the company of other people? It's up to you. You can do all of those things or none of them. It's your call. Forkfest.party. Mark your calendar, June 28th through July 4th. We're planning on being there.
I'll be there.
Are you going to try to go for longer?
I am. I hope to go to the first ever Porcupine Freedom Festival myself as well the week before.
The first one for you.
First one for me, right.
I think it's number 17 or...
Yeah, and I've been wanting to go to one for 17 freaking years, or whatever number they're on, but it just never happened because I was out on the West Coast. Now that I'm here, I think I'm early enough in the game that I can get the time to get away and do both, or at least part of both. Maybe the last 4 days of that, and then the whole week of Fork. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I would like to, attend both if possible this year. I did go last year with the intent of not doing anything and just enjoying all the other stuff, and then I got hornswoggled. I willingly went into doing the live music thing.
Yeah, you played
we played,
show.
We were the only
show.
live music publicly available that I'm aware of in the entire United States at that point. There were other people playing shows, but it would be a secret show in a basement or that kind of a thing, or maybe one of these drive-in concerts that they were doing.
So lame.
But outside of that, as near as I could tell, we were the only publicly available live music, at least in the state of New Hampshire.
It was fun, and you can have fun next year. And again, June 28th through July 4th. Go, mark your calendar now, and start planning for Forkfest.party. We go to your phone calls and thoughts. John is in Kalamazoo, Michigan. John, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
You're on the air.
Well, yes. You said you didn't know anybody. Well, I do. My cousin, and she died.
Of what?
And COVID, and her daughter gave it to her.
Okay.
So her daughter has to live with the fact that what she did for the rest of her life.
Wait, you're blaming the daughter? That's weird.
She was the one coming to take care of her mom, and she should have known better.
How old was her mom?
90.
90. Okay, so she could have died.
She
Just died
on the
anyway.
third day of symptoms. No, she wasn't going to die anyway. She was in great health.
Okay.
She died on the third day of symptoms. And then couldn't even go to the funeral.
Most people don't make it to 90,
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't her going to take care of the mom, who would have taken care of her?
You're right. A son that lived right next door.
Yeah. Maybe she shouldn't feel so bad. Maybe she should feel good because she got to see her mother, and she actually got to be around her rather than all these other people whose parents are dying without them seeing their kids.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, if you want to be depressed for your whole life, that's certainly a choice you can make.
It's not my deal. It's not. I don't have to live with it. It was my cousin. Mm-hmm. She was a wonderful person.
Yeah. Well, maybe she still is a wonderful person.
Yep.
Would she have been a better person if she had ignored her mother and not helped her?
She was careless as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to place blame, but as we've seen, there's plenty of people who've caught the COVIDs without having, even though they've taken all of the precautions, even though they've stayed home, even though they've put masks on, double masked. We've seen the military study with the insane level of cleaning, and they still had infections. So maybe you shouldn't beat yourself up so much.
It's all around me here in Kalamazoo. It's all around
Is
here.
It? Yeah, it sounds like
so
a
I
load
don't go
to me.
out too much because of it.
Okay, well, you just stay home, and the rest of us will go out, and we'll enjoy our lives, and you can live in fear. How's that sound?
I don't live in fear.
Oh, okay. Why are you staying home?
I live in understanding reality of what's going on around me.
Okay. Well, I wish you the best, John. I don't understand, man. Yeah, blaming yourself over that stuff?
Or even it sounded like he was trying to make the girl who was taking care of her mom feel guilty.
That's what he was doing, yeah.
And that's horrible. Yeah. You're going to lay a guilt trip like that on for something that nobody really even knows how it's spread yet.
Nope. Let's continue. We got Mark. He's in Columbia, South Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Mark.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Very quickly. I really feel for that guy, but I tell you what, you got to take care of the parents. I have a 90-year-old father and a 82-year-old mother, and COVID is real, but at the same time, I believe you got to live your life, and I mean it's the depression and the mental stress that this has added to them. They both have diabetes and cardiac issues. Mm-hmm. So the issue of not seeing their loved ones is sometimes more dangerous than the actual, and it's like our president said that sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. And I do believe that's the case. I do want to make out one point. This is the most important point.
Sure.
There was a study I saw in the periodical. There was a study that said 20% of COVID patients received or developed a mental illness, and that should be listed as a symptom of the COVID. And it was developed through the COVID. And I'm sitting there going, no, they're trying to justify the pandemic. 20% of COVID patients, and I do believe that, mostly elderly, did not receive and or develop a mental illness disorder due to the COVID disease. It is because of the direct result of and I say
of isolation
to COVID, but
it's a result of isolation.
It was from the pandemic. It was from the shutdown and the pandemic, resulting in stress and isolation, and again, particularly with the elderly, that caused them anxiety, depression, and everything else that the study found.
And it's not just happening with the elderly, it's happening with children too. Yep. There's been a study recently, significant impact on children's well-being and mental health. I mean, to blame this lady for the daughter for going and taking care of her mother, it's like ridiculous, because then if she hadn't have gone and taken care of her mother and the mom died anyway, maybe she catch COVID or she just died anyway, then she'd get blamed for not going to see her mother.
And my question is in that case with the previous caller, the mom, what was her preference? Was her preference to have the daughter come over and take care of her and risk the COVID, or was her preference the opposite of that and she did it anyway? Right? Let's figure that out, and you'll figure out what's right and what's wrong. If it was her preference to be taken care of, then there
good.
Is far out solid.
The right thing was done.
Exactly. But the blatant attempt to falsely blame the disease and redirect it away from the noted cause and the negative effect of the pandemic shutdown is wrong.
Agreed.
I'm with you, Mark. Good call. Thanks for sharing your thoughts here tonight. We continue. Jerry in Virginia, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and the Captain.
How you doing, man?
Jerry, what's on your mind?
God, I can't believe I'm on.
Here you are. Believe it.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, no. It always helps to make notes. Just jot down a couple little bullet points, things you want to make sure that you say. Then you never get, sidetracked. Or
God, I can't believe it. I can't believe this happened.
All right, well,
we're on 7 days a week, bro.
Okay. Wait.
He's got it. Okay.
Why do you all hate pit bulls?
What? We don't hate pit bulls. I used to have one a long time ago. Why would you say that?
Because I heard you and the girl that is on every once in a while, and you and the captain, and how you basically made them as evil.
No, when did that happen?
Pit bulls?
I've never said that. Not ever. Pit bulls are just a dog. I mean, it just depends on how you raise them. It depends on, just like any dog.
That's exactly true.
If you beat a dog, it's going to be a bad dog. If you starve a dog, it's going to be a bad dog.
The same stigma was associated with German Shepherds back in the day too, and that's right. And same with Dobermans and Rottweilers. Yep.
Hey, Jerry, I don't know who was saying that on this show, but I was not on that night. Whoever it was, because I would have called him out on the carpet for that. So I'm glad you called in.
You did. You were on that night. night, and you did call them out.
All right, cool. Well, hey, that's good. We have different opinions here, and that's a good thing. Jerry, call us again, man. We're out of time. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Check out lordkickass.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Shipments begin tomorrow. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, just approved by the FDA, begins arriving at about 3,700 locations on Monday.
This is going to be a big step forward after Pfizer began its injections this past week. The White House says this week alone 2.9 million doses went out and 2 million more expected to be distributed next week. On Friday, Vice President Mike Pence and his wife, they received the Pfizer vaccine. House Speaker Pelosi, Senate leaders McConnell and Schumer, they have also been injected under the continuity of government plan, although it remains unclear at this point when President Trump will get his dose.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The Senate has adjourned for the night after Congress held a rare weekend session to negotiate a $900 billion COVID relief package. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
You can use whatever football analogy you want. We're on the 5-yard line or the 1-yard line or whatever. The truth is simple. We're close to an agreement, but we need to finalize it.